Today in crypto land, the Winklevoss twins drop an absolute bombshell in terms of crypto payment adoption. Microsoft is the newest company to build big on public blockchains, and Bakkt's futures contracts are closer than ever. Bitcoin is currently around $8,000 at the time of recording this video. By the time you watch it, probably a few $100s in either direction as it continues its red hot rise, blasting past all expectations of price. Of course, now that the markets are popping, you are probably going to start getting those phone calls from friends that you haven't heard from, in like 2 years since the last bull run, asking, hey, are you still into that Bitcoin thing? If you don't want to tell them all about it, you can always send them over to thecryptolark.org, where I have my full free course on how to get into crypto. Okay, so Bitcoin market dominance is currently over 60%. Now, the last time that this happened was all the way back in November and December of 2017, when the markets were going insane during the previous bull run. Now, this was also followed by a decline in Bitcoin dominance as altcoins exploded big time as people moved out of Bitcoin into those more speculative assets. Volume for Bitcoin is surging with spot price volume reaching previous bull run levels. Binance at $670 million, which by the way is opening back up for withdrawals and deposits in just a few hours. Coinbase at $380 million in the last 24 hours, and other top cryptocurrency exchanges similarly popping in volume. And futures contract volume is up big time as well. The CME did $1.2 billion in Bitcoin futures volume. And then over on BitMEX, we have had 2 record days in a row, surpassing $10 billion in volume, which is, of course, beyond insane. Now, of course, those are from the legitimate exchange. We do still have problems in accurate reporting of volume. CoinGecko is working on that, as well as CoinMarketCap. CoinGecko releasing what they are deeming the trust score in their bid to fight that fake exchange volume data. Of course, that comes just a week after CoinMarketCap made a rather similar announcement that they are going to also be putting forward an initiative to help combat that fake volume data that we have been seeing affecting the markets. Now on to our first big story of the day, and this is one of the biggest Bitcoin stories probably that I've seen, well, in a couple weeks anyway. Barnes & Noble, Baskin-Robbins, Bed Bath & Beyond, GameStop, Jamba Juice, Lowe's, Nordstrom, Office Depot, Office Max, others, lots more actually, including Whole Foods, which is owned, of course, by Amazon, all now accepting crypto payments. And I'm actually kind of blown away with the story because this is confirmed, this is real, this actually just frickin' happened. Moon! Okay, now excitement aside, how does all this actually work and what is actually going on with this story? Now, a company called Flexa, in collaboration with Gemini Exchange, which is of course, owned by the Winklevoss twins, has managed to persuade all of these retailers and more to configure the same scanners that they are already using for payments from other digital wallets like Apple Pay to work with their crypto payment app called Spedden. Interesting name. Now just point, scan, and confirm, and your payment's done. Everything is handled on the back end so that the cashier need not even ever have heard of Bitcoin, let alone understand how to manage a payment in cryptocurrency. The merchant has the choice of receiving immediately converted fiat or actually taking and holding the crypto. It is unclear if any, of course, of these big companies is actually going to be taking and holding the crypto at this stage, but still an interesting story. The Spedden app allows consumers to pay using Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and GUSD, the Gemini-backed stablecoin. Still not a perfect solution, but definitely a great solution in terms of actually getting merchant acceptance on board, and it could be a game changer in retail adoption, which of course has for years struggled due to being, well, complicated, underused. And this new solution actually uses the existing systems and offers really only upsides for the companies, as they don't have to do any special training for their staff and there's no new hardware required, just a software upgrade. It is worth noting, though, that this is still in its early experimental stages for all the retailers which are cooperating with this scheme, and things, of course, may change in the future. Because keep in mind, too, that Bakkt is likely launching a massive payment processing service for crypto here in the very near future as well. And it could be a big competitor to what Gemini and Flexa are offering. It will also need to prove itself with consumers and get people to actually go out, download, and use the app. So there's that. On to the next story. Microsoft has announced that they are launching a decentralized identity tool on Bitcoin. Just stop, guys. I can't handle it. This is crazy. This is so much going on in just one day. Throw in that there's some eBay rumors flying around as well, and we can see the consensus pump playing out. Now, the open source project called Ion operates on the basis of how networks actually communicate with one another in the handling of decentralized identifiers. Now, this will give you the ability to prove that you own the keys to your identity data. So for example, anytime that you go and use Facebook to log into another website, there is an underlying protocol which allows for that to happen. What Microsoft is building is a new protocol to enable this to happen in a decentralized way, built on top of Bitcoin. This reminds me of the huge story from Ernst & Young just a couple of weeks ago about building Nightfall on top of Ethereum. Now, if Microsoft actually implements this into any of their software products, which, to be honest, I would assume that they will at some point, then people will be using Bitcoin to verify their identities, which is massive, of course. The project will move from Bitcoin's testnet to the Bitcoin mainnet later this year, so stay tuned for this story to continue to develop. Then we have a big announcement from Bakkt. Now, the launch of Bitcoin futures contracts, which, as a reminder, are going to be physically settled, are finally looking like they will be happening in the, near-term future anyway, as it appears that they have got the go-ahead from the CFTC, with Bakkt stating that user acceptance testing for futures and their custody services will likely start in July. Also, Bakkt has stated that they will be offering both daily and monthly futures contracts. The newest announcement from Bakkt really tries to highlight their focus on compliance in terms of, avoiding all of that bad practices like wash trading, as well as ensuring that the physical delivery is handled in a super secure way. Awesome. Now just stop to think for a moment that last time we were kind of here in the markets, price-wise, moving up in 2017, that this kind of insane infrastructure, it didn't exist. Major American retailers were not accepting Bitcoin en masse. Bakkt didn't exist. Fidelity wasn't talking about Bitcoin. Major exchanges like Ameritrade had nothing to do with Bitcoin. There was not a trade war between China and the US. And it's, of course, fascinating, too, that Bitcoin has remained so popular in China in spite of the official crackdown. A trade war between China and the US will see investors in both countries hedging into Bitcoin, especially now that it is such a mature asset. On the back of the fears of the world's biggest economies deepening the trade war, there was a big sell-off in the stock markets with more than $1 trillion in value wiped off of the markets today. Wowzers. Just think of all of those Fidelity investors who are going to be out there looking at losing all this money on stocks and then watching Bitcoin double since the start of the year. Where do you think the interest is going to start going? That money is going to start flowing to Bitcoin, and it already is. Retail hype hasn't even kicked in yet, guys. This is still at an institutional big investor level, but it will. And a lot of people are calling for $10,000 as the retail FOMO level. Could be, could not be. But make no mistake, retail FOMO will indeed come. And when it does, you are going to have massive institutions, massive high net worth individuals battling with everyday investors for a piece of the Bitcoin pie. Where will that send the price? Who the heck knows? But probably really, really up. Anyway, those are just my 2 Satoshis, guys. As always, I super appreciate you guys coming out here and taking the time out here today to watch these videos. Just a daily reminder that I love you all. You are super, super awesome, and I'm absolutely humbled that you guys come out here and watch these videos all the time. So thank you so much. And of course, if you did enjoy the video, leave a thumbs up on it, guys. And of course, if you are new around here, subscribe to stay up to date with what is happening in crypto. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.